and people are discovering new websites all the time. We just found this awesome chat room called Great Stock Picks, PIX, and they became a featured newsletter on Investimonials because everyone loves it. It's got 20 reviews, and people say this is a great chat room. I never even heard of them before Investimonials. Stock Guy 22 has all these free webinars. I never heard of them before. StockGuy22.com. So it's about finding new products and finding good products.
And
that's what it comes down to.
What do you say?
That's what it comes down to. It's just about sharing openly and honestly. I don't want people writing fake reviews saying, oh, I love this product, and if they never used it. I want people to use these. But we have over 4,000 products. We now have movies. You can rate Wall Street and say what you're going to think about Wall Street 2. You can see Boiler Room. You can rate commentators. What do you think about Jim Cramer? Jim Cramer might have big TV ratings, but his Investimonials ratings sucks.
One of the things that you brought up is, like penny stock promoters, and they could research and see, okay, this guy sucks. But in some sense, isn't the penny stock promotion good for your business? I mean, or good for investors? Because people kind of know you got to be buyer beware, but don't some of these people who get these email alerts or whatever they are, don't they buy them because they think they'll rise and then short them when they think the pump is done? I mean, is it part of the game, or do you think they should get rid of that part of the game? Do you think it should be illegal? Like, how do you think that should, is there something that should happen in 2011 that changes that game?
Clearly, stock promotion should be illegal, but do I want it to be illegal? No. I made my first $1 million I made buying penny stock pumps, not knowing what they were, just riding the chart patterns, being, blissfully ignorant. I made my second and third $1 million short selling them, and now I'm teaching others. So I play the game. I've extracted profits every which way, and I've learned along the way. So I'm one of the few lucky ones. Short selling penny stocks is not a term that anybody outside of my 3,000 daily visitors knows about or cares about. Short selling is scary, penny stocks are scary, day trading is scary. So I'm doing all of the three scariest things. They would much rather buy a stock at a penny and try and sell it at 10 cents. And, I have to try and cut through that stupidity. And it's not easy. There's a new sucker born every single minute, and they believe these hype-filled promotions. They don't understand that there's a disclaimer at the bottom. So do I think the SEC is going to make it illegal? No. I think the SEC is incompetent. It's very sad, but you might as well profit from it, because even if they do make it illegal, there will be a new kind of manipulation. Stock manipulation will never go away. It's existed since the freaking Buttonwood Agreement.
And it probably will exist for the rest of time. But
most people won't even know what the Buttonwood Agreement is. So I'm going to encourage people to use a new tool. It's rising in popularity. It's called Google. And, it really can teach you a lot of stuff. It's not just about reading these promotional mailers. It's actually doing your own research and thinking on your own. And I know it's tough. I know it's tough to think on your own, especially when you don't have a GED, especially when you're illiterate. But, that's the reality.
Isn't the Buttonwood the tree? Is it under the Buttonwood tree? Is that what it
yes, when the stock exchange was created back in the late 1800s or, whenever it was. I don't even know the exact stuff, but I know my history because I've read too many books, and that's why I'm too smart for my own good.
There should be a rule that says don't ask the question before you Google it, until you Google it. So that's something that's a way to get rid of the dumb questions. Okay, so one final question for you. Since you're the man of transparency and, crack down on a lot of these pumps, do you get scared ever that someone's going to come after you, or do you tweet where you are? Do you use those Foursquare type products? Or I just entered the subway at 5th and Madison, or what have you? Is there any concern in regards to that?
No, because, I don't use Foursquare. I don't think people care where I am, and I don't care enough to tell them.
Oh, come on. Everyone would go where you are. They want to learn.
Yeah, well, they can come to my seminar in Vegas November 14th and 15th at Mandalay Bay. That's the one time that you're going to be able to learn in person. We might have stock promoters. I'm not enemies with stock promoters. They know what they're doing is wrong. Okay? They know they're going to hell. They know they're being unethical. But I'm not trying to send them to hell. I'm not trying to put them in prison. I'm not an exposer. I could write 20 times as many articles if I really wanted to expose all of these. But I only write articles when there's an opportunity to profit, because that's when, it matters. I'm not trying to bust the whole system here. That's 20 years from now when I made enough money where I don't care and then I'm SEC commissioner. That's when I'll bust everybody. Mm-hmm. But until then, and that might not even happen. I might never get to that point, because what's the harm? What's the good of busting frauds? It doesn't really do any good. It's much better to learn about them, watch them, smile, and profit.
One last question that we wanted to ask on the Benzinga podcast. There's been a lot of news around Sponge Tech. It was a pump or dump. I don't know what the story is, but there's been a lot of news in Sponge Tech. Could you briefly tell our Benzinga listeners about Sponge Tech and what you have to do with it, et cetera?
Yeah, Sponge Tech was a paid promotional stock that I was trading.
Well, what's the symbol so people can look it up as they're listening?
SPNG. It might not even show up on most websites because it's trading at a penny a share. I began writing about it in June 2009 after it had gone from, I think, a half a penny a share all the way up to 30 cents a share. So it was up nearly 60 times in just a few weeks, and it was pretty much all due to a coordinated effort of press releases with paid promotion. They paid stock promoters. Jonathan Levitt, I think, got 1.2 million shares where, Jonathan Levitt has this massive email list, and he sends it out to his email list saying, look how great Sponge Tech is. And meanwhile, he's dumping his 1.2 million shares into their buying. It's a pump and dump. And I used the word pump and dump in June 2009. I said Sponge Tech is a blatant pump and dump. And I shorted the stock at 18 cents. I covered at 11 cents. Just one trade made $600. The stock, I don't like shorting stocks that low, but I kept writing about it because it kept doing so many typical things that paid promotional stocks do. So I think I wrote like 2 or 3 dozen articles, even though I never traded the stock again. Then, in September, October, the New York Post started covering the stock, writing about all their businesses, and the New York Post article said that, most of their revenue was from fake companies, and the writer did all her own research. I never talked to her. People thought that, I was feeding her information. The message boards were going crazy. And then, and I didn't believe, I just ignored it. And the New York Post kept writing their own stories. And I wrote to her. I was like, why, she quoted my blog. I was like, why didn't you contact me? She's like, I didn't have your contact information. So I gave her my email address. She never contacted me still. I was kind of angry. Now it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because now in early 2010, I hear from the message boards again that Sponge Tech is suing me and the New York Post for colluding together on Sponge Tech to, quote, short and distort campaign, where, we're using all these lies to enhance our short selling profits. And I was kind of pissed off about that because I never had talked to the New York Post, and I shorted it for one day. I made $630. That's fully disclosed on my website. But, when you get sued, it's scary. The funny thing is that, A, I've never been served, so they say that they're suing me, but I haven't been delivered the lawsuit, so I don't know. And most importantly, the SEC just accused the Sponge Tech executives of running a massive pump and dump. And I got to quote the SEC. The SEC says they ran a massive pump and dump scheme. And apparently, these executives have been falsifying press releases, data. Their companies were made up. They tried to hide the made-up companies during the SEC investigation, where they created these websites of the companies, but unfortunately, and they created a lawyer. Unfortunately, their made-up lawyer, a totally fictitious guy, I think they called him David Beaumart. They created this lawyer so that they could remove the legend on their shares, so that they could sell shares. Companies have restricted shares, and on the stock certificate, there's a little symbol that says these stocks are restricted from being sold. And so they created this lawyer to get rid of this legend so that they could sell the shares. The SEC alleges that they sold 2.5 billion shares through related companies. So the SEC is suing them. Both executives are out, I think, on $2 million bail each for fraud, for creating a freaking fake lawyer. And they, even during the investigation, they created, and I'm just quoting the SEC complaint, they created fake websites for these companies that were supposedly their customers. And unfortunately, one of the the websites or the lawyer had the same fax number as one of the company executives, so they were kind of busted. It's just a mess, and it's just a typical pump and dump. But, a lot of people thought that I had something to do with the stock price falling, and I would love to be taken to court because I would show my DVDs. I'd show all 100 hours worth of all my DVDs. It would be exhibits A through G, and I would show everybody that this pump and dump is not alone, and I don't know what goes on in the back end of all of this. I've never known any pump and dumper. All I know is what happens to the stock, and the chart patterns are very similar. So that's why I wrote about it, and now it's kind of funny that they sue me, and then a week later they get charged with fraud by the SEC. So it kind of makes me look kind of good.
Any new updates of it in the last week, or is it just, the SEC investigation into them and basically they're non-existent until the SEC finishes their, have the executives responded to the SEC? Any updates that you know of on this one?
I think they went to court for initial proceedings. I don't know the specifics. I'm still waiting to get served for my lawsuit. But that hasn't happened. I guess the executives who are suing me are kind of busy dealing with these fraud accusations. The New York Times has picked it up, the Daily News, everybody's picked it up, and they're all giving credit to the New York Post because she, this girl, I forget her name, Kaja, K-A-J-A.
Kaja Whitestone.
There you go. She did all this research, and she basically uncovered that 99% of their customers were fake. I didn't know any of that. All I did was say, look, these guys are paying stock promoters, and they're diluting their shares. That's all I look for, pump and dump. I don't look for the fake companies. I don't look for all that stuff. I'm sure with 99% of the pump and dumps that I do trade, I would find the exact same thing. ShareSleuth.com wrote a great article the other day linking Sponge Tech to MSEH, Mesa Energy, which former governor of New York, Pataki, is on the advisory board, linking it to NXTH, where NXT Nutritional Holdings, where the CEO of that company, what was his name, Patrick McCarthy, I think, he went to the Huffington Post and he blamed short sellers like Tim Sykes. So I get blamed publicly, but the real people that are bad are the executives and the promoters. So I'm kind of like the Dark Knight, if you ever saw that movie. I get all this public hatred, but I'm helping people.
And with that, listeners of the Benzinga podcast today can head over to Timothy Sykes. What is the store? Is it TimothySykes.com/plans, or is there another page I should go to so they can learn about
TimothySykes.com/plans, and I got 4 newsletters. You can choose your poison.
And finally, Tim, where could people on Fridays watch your humorous livestock and learn about different stocks and penny stocks and your new ventures you're up to?
You can go to livestream.com/livestock. But again, if you become one of my subscribers, I want you to, learn from everything. I got free live stocks on Friday. We got free seminars every now and then. I've got free videos. I've got information galore because I have been doing this for so long. So just go to TimothySykes.com, sign up somewhere, and I'll teach you.
All right. Yeah, so we'll stay tuned to Sponge Tech and your other updates, and let's stay in touch, and I will update Benzinga listeners on Timothy Sykes moves, testimonials, Profitly, TimothySykes.com, and all else that's fit to print. Thanks for your time, Tim, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Benzinga podcast. The music that you're listening to is Going to Bristol by The Mountain Goats. The track is available on the Internet Archive. The Benzinga podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 3.5 license, and all other rights are reserved.